y'all, Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about resupply packages on the Pacific Crest Trail. Some people opt to send themselves resupply packages during a through hike, so they don't have to worry about like shopping while they are in towns. And there are pros and cons to that situation, so I want to talk about that a little bit. And then also, if you are going to send yourself some resupply packages, I want to talk about the towns that you would probably appreciate receiving them the most. A lot of times when people decide to do a through hike or an extended section hike, really on any trail, they get bogged down in the details. They sit down with a guidebook of some sort, or I would recommend Guthook's app for the Pacific Crest Trail if you want to look at resupplying and kind of planning ahead of places that you might stay. But in the same breath, I'm going to tell you, don't overthink things. Just don't sit down and plan every step along the way. It's not necessary to send yourself any resupply packages on the Pacific Crest Trail, because for the most part, every place that you get to that has some sort of civilization, whether that's a gas station or a general store, there are going to be things that you can buy to get you by to the next resupply point. So I guess some of the pros of sending yourself packages ahead of time is that, one, you can eat healthier, because a lot of the places that you stop aren't going to have a huge selection, especially in healthy food that you can carry with you. Also, if you have some kind of dietary restriction, of course you may have to send yourself resupply packages, because a lot of the places, depending on your dietary restriction, might not have what you need or things that you can eat. Also, I guess you don't have to go through the process of walking around the store and picking something out. And there may be some other pros, but for the most part, I do not recommend sending yourself resupply packages, or at least not planning on doing that as your sole means of resupplying. Otherwise, sending yourself resupply packages really limits your freedom. You have to worry about getting to a post office at a certain time, and if you don't get there, you've got to hang around in town until it's open again. And some of the post offices are in really small towns and they have limited hours, so they may only be open a few hours each day of the week, and not even open at all during the weekend. And then if you don't make it to the post office in time, you're stuck either staying in town and waiting for it to open again, or just hiking on and having to go ahead and purchase a resupply there anyway. And then also, you may find yourself hiking with an awesome group of people, and you decided to send a resupply package to a certain town that now you wish that you didn't even have to go into, because maybe you have enough food in your bag, or maybe the people you're hiking around aren't going into that town. But it is our natural instinct to just over plan, because that's what we do in everyday life. We have things planned down to the detail. But a through hike or extended section hike is like a real taste of freedom. So don't sit there in your house right now and already put restrictions on yourself ahead of time, when you could really just be free and make the decisions as you go. And finally, I always say, do you know what you want to eat 3 weeks and 3 nights from now for dinner? I mean, I don't, and you're certainly not going to know on trail. Your cravings are going to change, and sitting at home right now where you have access to any food that you want, planning what you want to eat all of those days in advance, you might just send yourself the same thing over and over and over. And I know people, myself included, who got so sick of things that they ate over and over and over. So it really is nice to be able to change what you're eating, as your cravings change. And one of the reasons that people tend to send themselves packages is they think that they're going to be saving money by, not being in a small town that only has one general store with inflated prices. And, they're going to shop at home and then mail themselves the same things that they could buy there. But I just don't know that it's really cost effective to pay for postage. I mean, I'm sure somebody has sat down and calculated all of that out, but it's going to be pretty close. And again, just to be able to have the freedom to decide while you're there is, to me, priceless. Even if you do decide to resupply mainly or, partially on packages that you send yourself, you can do it on trail. So when you get to one of the bigger towns that has a Walmart or a bigger grocery store and a post office, you can do it, take a 0 day and do it for the next few hundred miles, where you think you might want to receive a package. And that way you'll have a little bit better of an idea, because you'll have been out on trail, you'll have heard people talking. And this is actually a really good tip for some of y'all traveling internationally, like people coming over here from Australia who aren't going to send themselves all their packages ahead of time and pay, shipping from Australia to the US. So you can just get to one of the towns for each 500 miles or so, take a 0 day, plan some of the stops out. So mail yourself stuff from, that town to a town 500 miles ahead. All right, so I'm going to cover a list of 11 places that either myself or other people have expressed appreciation for receiving a supply package at that location. All right, region by region, from Southern California all the way to Washington. Number 1 is Warner Springs at mile 109.5. Warner Springs has a nice community center. They do have a little area for resupply. It is a little pricey, but sometimes, 100 miles in, it would just be really nice and refreshing to receive a package from home. You can definitely make resupply there. They have a pretty good selection. There's a restaurant in the area, and there is a post office if you do decide to receive a package. Number 2 is mile 702.2, and that is Kennedy Meadows. Now, I received my bear can here, and a lot of people do, so I just went ahead and had my mom throw in some Mountain House meals and some, exciting food to receive. I found out it's actually not necessary to have your bear can at Kennedy Meadows. A lot of people think that you have to start with it there, but if you plan to go into Lone Pine, which is only about 50 miles north, you can actually pick up your bear can there and be legal. And they have good resupply options in Lone Pine, so you might can get something at Kennedy Meadows just to hold you over to Lone Pine and then resupply and pick up your bear can there. The reason I say that is Kennedy Meadows charges a $6 fee for your packages. I mean, it makes sense, they are kind of in the middle of nowhere, but just to save a little bit of money, if you're planning on going into Lone Pine and you don't want the extra weight of that bear can for 50 more miles, just wait until Lone Pine. If you want to see the map that I looked at to make that determination, it is in the video description, so just click the show more below this video and you can go to that link and see on there that Kennedy Meadows is not in the bear can requirement area. Next stop is mile 878.7, and that is Vermilion Valley Resort, better known as VVR. Now, I try not to just hate on places, and I enjoyed my time at VVR, but a lot of hikers spend a lot of money there. They just run a tab for you, but the resupply options there are very, very expensive. I mean, they do have a good idea of what hikers want, so you can definitely, get good things there, but it's just, it's really, really inflated by price. And I mean, it makes sense. They're in the middle of nowhere. But to get a resupply package there, you probably could save some money. But to pick up your package, it is a $25 fee. If you don't write your name on all 4 sides of the package, then that's an additional $10 fee because they had to spend a few extra minutes looking for it. Dinner there is extremely expensive. I paid like $20 for a pork chop and some mashed potatoes. But you get there and you're hungry and you need to resupply. So this is just my warning. I do think that even spending that $25 package fee, that you can probably save money by not resupplying there, and you'll have a bigger selection choosing things from home than you will there, but I'm just warning you about VVR. If you can avoid it due to the high prices, you might want to try to do that, but if not, you can probably benefit from sending a package there. Just make sure you write your name on all 4 sides of the box. Then in Northern California, we have mile 1195.4, and that is Sierra City. Second to VVR, this was probably my most expensive resupply. They have a general store there that has okay options. I liked Sierra City, but this is a place that I do really wish that I had received a resupply package. The general store will hold your package for you for free, and then there is the post office just right next door, so you could send it to either place. Probably recommend the general store because I think they're open more hours than the post office is. Next in Oregon is mile 1818.4, and that is Crater Lake National Park, the Mazama Village General Store. They have limited options, but they do have resupply options there, and it is a little pricey, so it would probably be a good place to receive a resupply package, and the general store will hold them for you, but they also have a post office there in the national park. At 1904.1, there is Shelter Cove Resort. Now, I can't speak personally for this place about how resupply is there because it was part of a fire closure and I couldn't go, but my fellow hikers have suggested that this is a place that they would appreciate receiving a resupply package. Mile 2094.4 is Timberline Lodge. I did stay there, but I didn't resupply in the area because I ended up going with Milestone to Portland, Oregon, and stayed with her at her house there and resupplied there. But I heard that there aren't very many options as far as resupply goes at Timberline Lodge, so there might be places that you could hitchhike to, but it's probably kind of difficult to hitchhike out of the park to a place to resupply and back in. So it might be a place that would be convenient to receive a resupply. And you have to stop by anyway because they have the Here's Johnny axe from The Shining. Next in Washington is mile 2226.4, and that is Trout Lake. This is another one that I was not able to access due to a fire closure, but is somewhere that has been recommended. A resupply would be appreciated. Next is mile 2292.4, and that is White Pass. Now, I went into Seattle with one of my friends from high school. She lives there now, so I did not have to resupply at White Pass, but I've heard it is a good place to receive a package. Mile 2390.6 is Snoqualmie Pass. They have a gas station there that you can find some food to resupply, but I know that I definitely would have been happy about a resupply package there. Also, while you're in the area, check out the Aardvark. It's a little, dare I say, food truck because it's so much more than that. But stop by and see Dan. He is awesome and the food is amazing. You'll just have to try it for yourself. And finally, mile 2569.4. This is Stehekin. This is probably the only place that I will say, make sure you send a resupply package. Now, of course, you're not going to die. They have a small little general store with snacks and things like that that, again, will keep you alive. But I think that this is probably the place that I was very excited that somebody had sent me a resupply package because the options are very limited and it's slim pickings. This will likely be the last stop before you make it to the Canadian border. There are a couple of places that you could bail out between there and the Canadian border, but for the most part, you're probably going to be really excited just to get to the end. Again, I would definitely recommend a resupply package there, but it is not necessary. And if you're thinking about, buying like a pint of whiskey or some champagne to celebrate at the end, you probably want to include that in this resupply package because they don't have much in the way of alcohol in Stehekin. So for celebratory purposes, make sure you send yourself something there. Again, I will have a blog post with all of the addresses of these places and some of the details, whether they charge a fee to hold your package or not. But make sure you check out Guthook's app because that's where I got a lot of my information while I was on trail and tried to figure out where to have my mom send me something along the way. You can see post office hours and places that will hold packages and what businesses are in store that you can buy food at. But also you can read the comments from different hikers and their thoughts on the prices and selection and all sorts of stuff. Also in that blog post, I'll include ways to send yourself packages to the post office for general delivery. I know a lot of people are like, what? You can send yourself something to a post office? Yes, you can, and I'll let you know a good way to address your packages when you are sending them to yourself general delivery at a post office. I also want to talk just a little bit about bounce boxes. So bounce boxes are useful if you have things that you will need intermittently along the way, but maybe not at every single stop. So one of these things might be medication, or maybe certain gear items that you don't need the whole way, and maybe you don't have anybody to send you these things. So you can put all of this stuff in a priority mailbox, take it to the post office, and send it to yourself general delivery, which I will cover in my blog post as far as sending general delivery to a post office. But anyway, you send it to yourself, and if you get to the post office and you decide, I don't want the things in here, or I don't need the things in this box, then all you do is tell the post office you want to bounce it ahead to another post office along the way. And as long as you don't open that box, then they won't charge you again for it. So you can keep bouncing it ahead again and again and not have to worry about being charged a fee as long as you don't open the box. All right, y'all, well, I hope that that was helpful. And if you are watching this and you are a PCT veteran and you've got some places that you're like, Dixie, you forgot to mention this, and I would have really enjoyed receiving a package at XYZ, then be sure to include that in the comments below and, explain like why you think it would have been good to receive a package there. If you have any questions about this topic or, any of the places I mentioned or resupply boxes or bounce boxes in general, please feel free to leave your questions in the comments below and I will get to those. And thank y'all so much for watching, and we will see y'all next time.